Warning: this video explores mature themes that some viewers might find disturbing. If you or anyone you know needs help, please visit the link provided in the description. Thank you. You're not sure how you made it to the hospital or how long you've been here. All you know is that Christian has been at your side the entire time, feeding you and holding your hand. You had expected a vision, an alternate kind of consciousness, but what you experienced was nothing of the kind. It was reality, more real than anything else you've ever experienced, and you have the wounds to prove it. Your body is tired, but your mind is running wild. You were able to dig so deep that forgotten memories of your parents resurfaced. Whenever you close your eyes, the image of the swaying black metal tree is there, dancing back and forth to the rhythmic prayers burned into the giant sow's flesh. Julia comes to see you as well. Your mind is hazy and her voice sounds like it's far away. She tells you how brave you have been and what a great service you have done for your community. She asks you about the prayer you've learned, and through the pain you recite the words. Once you finish, she kisses your forehead. "Thank you," she whispers. Christian strokes your hair and feeds you more painkillers. The next day is a whirlwind. Julia and Christian shower you with compliments, and you get to meet the rest of the group. So many faces, so many hands to shake. You're a hero, it seems. The words that are burned into your mind are so incredibly valuable for so many people. You agree, you think. Either way, being back with Julia and Christian and having them praise you makes you feel valuable and appreciated. Throughout all of this, you think about your parents. You wonder what they experienced. Were they on the same journey? And how far did they get? A few days later, Julia and Christian sit across a table from you in a crowded cafe. "Look," Julia says, "you have done an incredible service to all of us. I think it's important to acknowledge that and to make clear how much you mean to the cause. That's why I think you should lead the prayer of the priest." She takes your hand in hers. "You would be the one to lead us to the tree. Be our guide, the founder of the church in the name of Vajravarahi." You look across the table at Julia and Christian. They smile hopefully at you. You give them both a long and examining look. You start asking why it is so important to them and why you, the most inexperienced member of the group, should be the one leading the prayer. Julia is visibly irritated by your questions. "I don't think you understand how unique this is. I know your experience was unpleasant, but I think you also learned other things, the mysteries, the secrets of intense pleasure through pain. Things about yourself that you did not know. It's clear to you that this is really important to them. They need you, and their chances of success are much greater if you're present. Questioning their motives, however, has left them uneasy." "Of course," you say. "I'll do it. I know how important this is." Julia nods and Christian looks up and smiles. "Thank you," says Julia. "I'll make the preparations for tonight." You meet up with Julia and Christian again the same night in an abandoned parking lot on the outskirts of the city. The rest of the group is with them, about 10 people from all walks of life. A slender woman in her early 30s with long brown hair smiles at you. Her name is Lena. You've met her before, after coming back from the club, and she recognizes you. "You came," she says. "We've all been hoping that you would join us. You will love this, I promise." You feel reassured by her friendliness and ask, "Where are we going?" "There used to be a train station here," she says, "but it's been closed since the 70s. Julia knows a way inside, though. The group follows Julia to a large brick building with boarded-up windows. The plywood sheet covering one of the windows is warped and rotten and can easily be moved. Julia waits for everyone to get inside before she turns on her flashlight and leads the way through the deserted entrance hall. Your steps echo as you walk across the stone-tiled floor to a staircase leading down to the building's lavatory area. Some of the members in the group seem to be familiar with this place and make themselves comfortable by pulling out dirty cushions stacked against the wall. The room has a number of stalls and sinks, all in disrepair, stained, broken, and dirty. Brown water leaks from the busted pipe in the ceiling. The floor below is a sickly yellow. Everything smells heavily of urine, mold, and sweat. You almost miss it, but one of the walls has several coin-sized holes at roughly eye level. "What is this place?" you whisper to Christian. "It's where we conduct our most important prayers. It's a great honor to be taken here," he says quietly. You sit down and watch Julia go around the room burning incense and lighting candles. "What are the holes in the wall for?" you ask. "It's for the Watchers," he says. "The Watchers?" "Yes, they come and watch us pray." "Who are they?" "I don't know," Christian whispers. "They always hide behind the wall, but you can hear them sometimes and see their eyes." You look at the holes. You think you can see something moving behind one of them, but you're not sure. Julia draws intricate symbols and unrecognizable words on the floor. Once finished, she guides you inside the painted triangle and whispers, "Whenever you're ready." You look at the group, sitting there watching, their eyes locked on you with the anticipation of something great. You start to sweat, but then you remember your night with Christian and all the expectations from the people online. Somehow you were able to fulfill their hopes, so why not here? The prayer is still burnt into your mind, as if it has always been with you. As you start chanting it, you find an intrinsic rhythm that slowly builds into a meditative trance. You close your eyes, allowing the words to take over. You picture yourself on a small boat floating in an endless black sea, gently rocked by slow waves. You start to hear noises around you, grunting, squealing, shrieking. A shrill, loud sound like screams over white noise penetrates your mind. Those screams, you've heard this before somewhere, right? You partly open your eyes, and your vision refuses to focus. It's dark. The only light is weak, pulsating yellow hue emanating from an unseen source, casting shadows on the tiled walls. Shadows chirk and twitch in a strange bestial manner, and as you turn your head, you see the group engaged in prayer. But they're not praying. At least not in any way you'd understand it at all. They're writhing on the floor, naked, pulling steel wires around their necks, cutting themselves with razor blades, clawing the skin from their bodies, putting fingers in their mouth and sucking on them until they're raw and a bloody mess, and more. The stained floor is newly awash in blood, sweat, and urine, a shallow sludge that turns into black, sticky water. You feel the room heating up as steam starts rising. It's hard to breathe and your eyes itch and burn. Something is moving behind the wall and in front of you, and you can see it through the holes. The Watchers are here, you think. The tiled wall slowly fades from view. Silhouettes approach from the darkness. You want to get up, run, get out of here, but you're unable to move. You just keep chanting the same words over and over as the bodies keep writhing on the floor. A shadow emerges out of the black water. It slowly rises from the floor as if pulled upwards by invisible wires. A leathery garment wrapped around its waist flows around the lower body into the water, marrying its shape to the grimy liquid. Their torso is bare, covered only by rusty barbed wire that barely conceals coarse stitches where breasts should be. The figure's skin is tight, thin, and slightly transparent. Underneath their skin, vessels pulse darkly. The creature holds a long wooden staff with a sickle at the end and wears a necklace made of human skulls. You have no sense of the alien figure's gender. Its features are too strained. Nails have been driven into their skull, holding back eyelids, cheeks, and lips and exposing shiny black teeth. Behind the figure, silhouettes crouch in the darkness like animals ready to pounce. The figure speaks in a raspy, cold voice. "You have summoned me, Cain, to make the covenant of the flock. You now all belong to me, and you will join us on our way to the Tree of Iron to found our church." Cain begins to slowly walk around the room, looking with disdain at the bodies on the floor. "The covenant requires all of you to make a sacrifice in pain." They use their sickle to gently caress one of the members trembling on the floor. "The one performing the greatest sacrifice will become my priest in our church of pain and humiliation and will be granted their life. The rest will join my herd and enjoy all the excruciation I can provide. I will await your sacrifices." The figure sinks down into the floor and disappears, just as you lose consciousness. The coming days are all a blur. It's like being in a constant fever dream. You spend your time in bed with the blinds shut and the lights turned down low. At times you wake up feeling confused and disoriented. On the second day, you develop a terrible itch on your forearm. A tickling sensation seems to move under your skin. Stumbling out of bed, you make it into the kitchen in a feverish haze. You grab a knife from the rack and slowly start pushing it against your skin. A sigh of relief escapes your lips as the itch subsides. You stagger back to bed, your bleeding arm wrapped in a towel. On the third day, you wake up soaking wet. The fever must have risen during the night, you think, slowly opening your eyes. You wipe your forehead to get rid of the sweat, but your hand turns red as you remove it from your face. Blood, you think, instinctively holding your breath. With great effort, you manage to sit up on the bed, breathing heavily as your head spins. As your eyes adjust to the light, you notice a yellow plastic bucket on the floor beside your bed. There's blood in there, and teeth, and then it hits you. The image of you in front of the mirror last night pulling your own teeth with a pair of pliers. You close your eyes to get rid of the thought, but instead another image emerges. You're crawling around the room on all fours, madly trying to find something, anything that you can use to inflict pain upon yourself. "The greatest sacrifice," you can hear yourself growling. "I must perform the greatest sacrifice in pain. I should be the priest." You close your eyes again and fall asleep. On the fourth day, you feel somewhat better. You're able to get out of bed, eat a bit of food, and reflect on the past week. It's still there, though. The need to hurt yourself, the yearning to make the greatest sacrifice. But you know now that if you go down that path, it will kill you. What else could you do to help yourself out of this condition? Somehow, this all seems connected to your experience at the club. The man in the cage, what did he say? Kopischweg 2? The moment you say the address silently to yourself, you're overcome with a sensation, a memory. There's a sour taste in your mouth suddenly. It's not unpleasant, but you can't explain it. Kopischweg 2 is an address in the suburbs. It looks like it was built in the 70s, with rows of similar houses lining the street. A nearby playground and school suggest that this suburb housed families. The playground being abandoned and the school being closed further suggests that families have not lived here for some time. The house itself is outwardly no different from the others. Its brick walls were whitewashed once, but now are dirty gray and overgrown by fungus and thorny weeds. As you make your way past a broken metal gate and through the unkept garden, you cast a glance at something that gleams on the ground. You clear away some rotting wood and sand, and you realize that this is an old sandbox. Buried in the sand is an old toy car, a silver Aston Martin. It seems surprisingly well kept after laying there for what must have been decades. You had one of these when you were little, didn't you? You played with it in your sandbox when your mother called from the open kitchen window that dinner was ready. You shudder and drop the car as you look up at the house and the broken windows in front of you, gaping at you like a black, toothy maw. Your eyes glide from the kitchen window to the front door, The number 2 is hanging on the side of it. Kopischweg 2, you think. And there's that sour taste in your mouth again. Sour candy, that's the taste. And then you remember. Your dad used to pick you up from preschool, and sometimes you went to the store afterwards to buy things for dinner. On the way home, you would get tired of walking, so your dad would give you a piece of sour candy and say, "Let's go, just a short while left until we're home." This is where I grew up, you think, looking at the derelict house. You slowly walk up the broken door. There's no problem getting inside. You stand in the doorway for a while, staring into the dark hallway, trying to remember your childhood home. You know that the kitchen is up ahead, the living room is to the left, and there's a corridor leading to the bedrooms and bathroom to the right. The man in the cage said I should go to the basement, you think to yourselves, but you can't remember how to get there. You walk through and find yourself in the laundry room that still holds the old washing machine but is otherwise mostly empty. In your mind's eye, your mother's shaking hands and fills the machine with dirty clothes. Her arms are covered with stained bandages. She drops a shirt on the floor, and as she picks it up, you notice that it is crusted with blood. She tries to put it into the washing machine, but her trembling hand drops it again. She tries a third time, but gives up and starts crying silently. As she does, she starts furiously scratching at her bandages. As the bandages peel away, you see carved up skin, barely allowed to close. Under her breath, she repeats, "Tenzin, where are you? Please help." After this memory, you exit the room and enter your old bedroom and you slowly relax. This is where you would hide whenever you were scared. The old bed is still there, your old bed. You kneel down and touch the wooden frame. You would hide in your bed, pulling the covers over your head and hug your stuffed rabbit as hard as you could. You would block out the screams and the cries, the fights and the moans. It was not always a happy place, but at least it was safe. You walk back down the hallway and into the kitchen. There's a wet patch on the floor. The floorboards are warped, probably from the water leak. There's not much in here still left. Most of the furniture seems to have been removed, but the kitchen table is still here. As you look at it, you're hit by a vivid memory. You close your eyes and watch the scene unfold. Your dad sits at the kitchen table with his head in his hands, his left leg twitching restlessly. You watch his foot jerking on the brown linoleum carpet. It twists and turns in ways you find funny, but when you smile and make eye contact with your mom, she just looks at you with a hollow stare. Her face is pale and her white hands tremble as she adjusts the collar on her blouse, covering a patch of black and scaly scars on her neck. "Your dad is sick," she says in a hoarse, toneless voice. "He will be well again when Tenzin comes back, if we can find him," she says quietly, mostly to herself. You suddenly want to cry for your father and look out the window to hide your tears. It's dark outside and you catch your reflection in the window. Behind you, in the yellow light of the plastic kitchen lamp, you see the face of your father, smiling madly, shaking uncontrollably, and then splitting his face in two, making the coarse stitches holding his jaw in place come undone. You back out of the room. You're shaken by reliving the horrible scene that you have clearly repressed. "I remember now," you say quietly to yourself. You're starting to recall your childhood, years that have just been blank apart from the occasional fragment or smell or noise or taste. It's clear it was not a happy time, or at least not after your parents met Tenzin. They called him a wise man, a bodhisattva. He used to come to the house and your parents would lock themselves in the basement with him. And you were alone. The basement, yes, there's a basement, you remember that now. There used to be a hatch under the rug in the corridor that led down into the basement. You walk over to the spot and the rug is still there. You pull it aside and lift the hatch underneath, taking a deep breath before you descend. You shine the light from your cell phone through the room beneath the basement stairs. There's black and green mold on the soft brown carpet. It's humid down here and the wallpaper has rotted and fallen off in several places. You used to play here, sitting on the carpet with toy army men, building walls made out of matchboxes that the invading army would have to overpower. The beam of your cell phone reaches a door in front of you, a yellow pinewood door. Your parents used to be in the room behind the door when Tenzin came to your house. You sat on the floor outside playing. You realized that you were never meant to be inside that room as a child. You were never allowed. You close your eyes and the memories come flooding back. The black-clad man that came to visit, Tenzin. His long, slender frame, his black hat, his wrinkled light brown skin, and his wide smile that revealed a full set of dirty gold teeth in the lower jaw. You gasp. The screams you sometimes faintly hear as part of your anxiety attacks, they're muffled screams from your parents from behind this door. You taste blood in your mouth. As you open your eyes, you realize that you're biting your tongue bloody. You spit on the moldy carpet and open the door. The room behind is full of wet and warm mist. As you step inside, it makes you think of the club, putting you on edge. But the feeling is different here. It's serene somehow. There's a faint pulsating red light in here and a rhythmic thumping, like a beating heart. The fog enfolds you and embraces you. Then something moves up your leg. It slithers around your thigh like a soft caress and begins to tighten. You barely have time to grasp as it crushes your bones to powder. The pounding sound intensifies. The room is full of heavy breathing and what sounds like moans. What is happening? Then, suddenly, you feel at ease, at one with your surroundings. Each and every atom in your body wants to escape into the air and swirl around in sync with the rhythmic thumping sound. There are butterflies in your stomach, a rush of blood to your head, and a wide smile on your face as you look at your shaking hand clutching Julia's throat. Her windpipe shatters. Your fingers turn white from your convulsive grip. Blood sputters from her mouth. In her bulging red eyes, a reflection of a tree of iron moving in the wind beneath a red sky. It's intoxicating, and it feels so alien. Somehow, how your mind puts all of this together feels unfamiliar, inhuman, and fabricated. This is not me, you think. I didn't do this. These thoughts are not mine. But the image was so vivid, so real. I really hope that Julia is alright, you mumble. The image fades from your eyes. Your heavy breathing subsides and you find yourself standing in a cold, damp, dark room with concrete walls and floors. On the center of the floor is a waist-high black iron brazier filled with burning coals. Next to the brazier on the floor lies what looks like an ornamental dagger and a cup made of silver. The wall opposite the entrance holds a mural of the Tree of Iron. Black chains have been attached to the wall, giving the impression that they are hanging from the branches of the tree. In the right corner of the room is a chair resembling a dentist's chair, modified to include thick leather restraints. On the headrest is what looks like a helmet with straps. Mounted on the side of the helmet is a thick, sharp, black iron nail. The helmet is clearly constructed to push the nail into the hair of the person restrained in the chair. Get the nail, that's what the man in the cage said. You reach out and dismount the nail from the helmet. I wonder if there's anything else in here that could tell me more, you think, looking around the room. On a shelf behind the chair are all kinds of instruments for inflicting pain. Whips, chains, knives. Uncomfortably, you remember your parents frequenting this room. When you walk over to the shelf, you notice a piece of paper lying there. You pick it up and look at it. It's a news article with a photo that looks familiar somehow. A woman in her 40s holds hands with a younger pair, a man and a woman. The older woman has braided hair and is wearing a colorful poncho. The brunette younger woman is wearing bell-bottom jeans and the man has a plaid shirt, curly brown hair and a beard. Beneath the image is the text, Julia Meyer, Peter Roth, and Eva Roth. You gasp, looking in disbelief at the image. Julia knew your parents? They all look so happy. The article is from the 90s and is about a tantric Buddhist group called the Western Vajravarahi Society. I should ask Julia about this, you think to yourself. Another thing on the shelf catches your eye. a jet black barbed wire wound around the brown, leathery, dried-up pigfoot. This is what Julia had with her in the bus. She wrapped the barbed wire around your hands, you recall. Maybe this is somehow useful, you think to yourself while putting it in your coat pocket. As you pick it up, the memory of the pain as Julia wrapped the wire around your hands triggers yet another memory from when you were little. Darkness. Something slithering around your hand, a sharp pain like fire, and a numbness spreading from your mangled hand. You leave the shelf and turn to the other side of the room. In the left corner is a wooden cage with metal bars. It is the exact cage you saw at the club. You're done with this room, too uncomfortable, and you decide to visit Julia. This was episode 4 of our playthrough of Deep Waters, a new scenario for Kult Divinity Lost, published by Helmgast. If you want to find out where your own solo playthrough takes you, please find a link to Helmgast in the description below. If you like what we do and can't wait another week for an episode, please subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free access. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to our channel so YouTube knows that we're doing something right. Thank you so much for listening, and until next week, this is Lorefall.